You're watching The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ MV Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We are The Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building today.
Yes, sir.
Vic Mensa.
What up?
Welcome back, sir.
Vic, what's up, my brother?
Oh, well, man.
Now, you know we
Happy to be alive.
we talking about Change for Change this morning. We raising money for Project 375,
Word
which
up.
is an organization that raises awareness for mental health issues in our community. And you one of the people that talk about those a lot.
For sure. Mm-hmm. You know, I've been vocal about my struggles with mental health through my music and just in my public discourse for some time now. It's honestly, it's my way of coming to terms with it, of coping with it and growing from it, is being honest about it, you know?
When did you recognize you had mental health issues?
I first went to go see a psychiatrist and was diagnosed with some things around 15.
Damn.
What made you
That's
go
lucky.
to a psychiatrist? What made your parents, take you there? Acting out in
I-
school?
I told him I wanted to. No, I mean, yeah, I was acting out in school for sure, but I don't think that was mental health issues. I think that was just because I was a bad kid. But there was one day I remember that I walked into school and everything just felt different to me. It was like the room became still, and I felt a certain numbness I had never felt before. And around the same time, smoking weed started to give me bad anxiety. And I had been smoking since I was 11, so I could feel the change pretty much immediately, right when, I developed this anxiety. And oftentimes weed will be a trigger for people in terms of bringing anxiety into their life. But right around then, it's just I just felt the chemistry change, and so I tried to address it.
That's interesting because some people feel like weed helps them relax and lessens their anxiety, but in fact, it can be triggering it.
Everybody's different, though, you know?
And it depends what you smoke. Like sativa makes my anxiety go through the roof.
Right.
And I thought indigo would take the edge off my anxiety, but it doesn't. It makes me get in my head too much. So it still makes me more anxious because I'm thinking about every
For sure.
goddamn thing.
So when the first time you went to see the psychiatrist, how was that for you?
It was weird, and they gave me pills to take every day, and I was worried that they would change the way I think or change who I was, so I stopped taking those pills pretty quickly, and cold turkey, you ain't supposed to do that, so I would get these zaps in my brain. But I've been going through mental health struggles for a long time now, and I've been speaking about it as pertains to myself, my culture, my community, because mental health is so stigmatized in the Black community, and it's got historical context. I mean, you look back to Malcolm X, and his father was killed by the Ku Klux Klan, so his mother had to make ends meet, and they would send the DCFS representative in, and they would say she was crazy because she didn't feed them pork. You know what I'm saying? And so this crazy Black women, crazy Black men thing is something that we have historically in our context. Now, in that story, that craziness eventually led to her being institutionalized for the majority of his life. So you can imagine why, fast forward all these years, Black people are very hesitant to be considered crazy. It'd be like, ain't nothing wrong with me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not crazy. When in actuality, addressing those problems, that doesn't make you crazy. We're all broken in our own ways. We're all damaged in our own ways. But we all are resilient as well. You know what I'm saying? And we can heal. We can grow. So that's why I speak about it, because I'm trying to help people heal and grow as I heal and grow myself.
And I'm sure a lot of people reach out to you, too, that listen to you to kind of talk because you've been so open with what you've gone through. And I'm sure a lot of times people tell you things about themselves that they have never shared with anyone else. Like on your DMs?
Definitely get the
Or in
DMs.
person.
Definitely get the DMs. And I have had situations where kids in my DMs have been really going through things and have reached out to me, and I've been able to talk them down from like whatever they say they're gonna do, whether it's kill themselves or so that's something that definitely exists, because obviously because I speak about it. So people that also go through these things, which is such a high percentage of people in general, they feel afraid many times to express that, because they might take it as a sign of weakness. But I think that the strongest people are the people that can ask for help.
Right.
I'm tripping off the fact that you knew you needed help at 15 years old. Because at 15, I didn't even know those type of resources were available.
My pops works at UIC, so there's a UIC, their medical division is like strong, and I just knew something was wrong. I was like, I don't feel the same, and I started to have, I heard a second ago you mentioned like panic attacks. I started to have these panic attacks, and it would be nothing was going on, but I would be laying on the couch like heart beating 1,000,000 miles a minute, unable to really move for 10 minutes, and I wasn't even high, So I recognized that something was going differently.
Do you do medication now?
Yeah, definitely. I got a long list of those. But at the end of the day, I think that it's not just about medication. You know what I'm saying? Meditation is something that's super real, and that's something I've been, practicing since around that time when I was 15.
Therapy.
And therapy, you know what I'm saying? Like being able to have someone that has an objective point of view that can just be a soundboard for you, so you can express yourself and you don't repress these things, because that's really what we're doing in our community, is that we're repressing all of this pain and this trauma we're experiencing. Being my age and having been to so many funerals, and none of them for people that died of natural causes in old age, all of this gives us post-traumatic stress disorder. Like pretty much all of my friends watched our one friend, Rod, God bless the dead, be stabbed to death. You know what I'm saying? And these are things that stick with you. And unpacking that stuff takes a long time.
That's not normal either. Like, there's so much stuff that we normalize in the hood that when you step away from it, you like, that's not supposed to happen.
No, it's
You're
not
not
normal.
supposed to see that.
No, you're not supposed to be seeing that. And so what it is, how we end up where we are today is that obviously we got to deal with it, but we don't know we don't know the right avenues to deal with it because they've been so stigmatized in our community. So we just self-medicate. We drink lean, we pop pills, we do all these other things to escape our pain.
Right.
And what I've come to learn is that I can't erase my pain. I have to learn to make space for it, to live with it, and to hold that inner child's hand. Because the pills, the drugs is crazy. I mean, the pharmaceutical industry is pimping us right as we're going through all of these things, So it's like a fine line you got to walk. Because
what's been making me nervous a lot now, because you just mentioned your parents and what they dealt with, and you mentioned Malcolm X. What it's been giving me anxiety now, since we've been talking about it so much, which is making it worse, is my kids now. Making sure that I'm raising my kids the right way, so 20 years down the line, they're not in the same situation talking about my dad did this and it made me feel this way, which is giving me crazy anxiety now, Yeah,
you don't even realize the issues you have with your parents. It's things that my father did that I didn't like growing up, but then I realized at 39, 40 years old, he did things that really messed the family up, and I don't want to make those same mistakes when it comes to my family,
Word up. And I think that, that's why across the board people need to be speaking to therapists. And I think that, that's why universal health care is such a real necessity, because people in the hood that don't have insurance, that don't have the right, that don't have the right healthcare services are often, they're going to be denied from getting good actual mental health care, and they're the ones that need it the most.
Right, absolutely.
So it's like, that's why we got to restructure this whole thing and get that into the schools, get real therapists into the schools. That's something that I've been working on with my foundation.
What's your foundation?
My foundation is called Save Money, Save Life.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So we've been doing work in the mental health sector, and you'll have one social worker per school that's got 8 schools on their thing. They show up once a week. I have a school I work with called Camelot, which takes all the expulsion kids, and they got one social worker that shows up once a week for all of these kids, and all the social worker does is file the IEPs. That's the individualized education program. So all the social worker even has time to do is know that everybody's messed up. Social worker ain't got time to really be in there and speaking to these kids. So that's why in this in this school year, we're going to be bringing in like a full-time mental health specialist, a therapist, to be speaking to these kids.
That'll make such a difference. Save Money, Save Life Foundation. And you know what else I think we're programmed to think? That we're supposed to internalize things and not share like family business anywhere. So what goes on in the household, I know like for me growing up, you don't tell other people anything that's going on at home because you don't know what's going to happen when you go to school and share those things. You know, so I think sometimes it's hard for people to talk about it because you're like, that's family business. You don't bring that outside the home.
I think it's just about, obviously vulnerability is key to this, but it's knowing who you can talk to. It's like, as long as you can talk to somebody. I'm not saying go put your business, everything in the streets, I'm still moving on that Godfather code, don't talk bad about the family to anybody outside the family in that type of way, but you should be able to be honest about your experience. Doesn't need to be with every person in passing, but everybody needs an outlet to be able to talk about their experience, whether it's writing, music, or, talking to a therapist. People need that outlet.
And then with social media today, it's really tough too. I feel like we didn't grow up with social media, and that's a whole nother beast that kids have to deal with.
And what role do you think social media plays when it comes to anxiety?
Oh, social media is definitely detrimental to all of our mental health. 100%. I mean, studies have shown that. Even me, I'll be in situations where, obviously, a lot of people feel certain ways about me. And for the most part, I don't even read social media, I don't read the things under my name. I don't check DMs from people I don't know. I don't read comments and things like that because I'm like, honestly, I know who I am, and I don't really need everybody's opinion on who I am. But every once in a while, I'll click that thing and open it up, and I'll be like, oh.
I shouldn't have did that.
Yeah.
Should have never did that. They hating on me hard. Let me, let me slide
Somebody
up.
told me this morning, I was listening to Oprah Super Soul conversation, and they said that people that fear feedback are people who have been lying to themselves.
I don't believe that. I got a tattoo on my arm that says no opinions, and that's not just because I won't listen to anybody, but I won't listen to everybody. You know what I'm saying? I listen to
authorized
people.
opinions.
Yeah,
like,
I listen to people and I holler at people that whose opinion I respect, and even if it's not in agreement with me, I think that the thing about social media is that it gives every single faceless, nameless person the opportunity to say whatever they want to say.
And they could have just seen like 5 seconds of something that you did and know nothing about the whole rest of your life and make a judgment based on
no
that.
context. And I mean, I think about it the way that I often talk about music journalism or music critics. I'm like, man, you got Charles Barkley on the basketball court. You know what I'm saying? Charles Barkley is authorized to speak about what's happening on the basketball court. In music, man, it's like oftentimes you don't even need any type of history or any experience to just tear somebody's music down, And I think that for me, it's not what I focus on. Like, I make my music and do the things I do because I believe in them, I do them because I believe they're the right thing to do. And whether or not it's always presented in, in the most understandable way. Sometimes I could be brash, I could be crude, but I say things that I think need to be said. And I also don't listen to the masses and the minions because I know that the majority of these people don't really care anyway.
And some opinions are constructive, some are just bullshit, though. Like,
That's what I'm saying.
Somebody can say, yo, Charlamagne, I hope you die.
Exactly.
That's an opinion.
You know what I'm saying?
I wish you died. That's an opinion, but it's still fucked
And
up.
we are all going to die one day. So your wish will come true at some point.
Those are the things that I don't pay attention to. It's like I've been receiving a lot of death threats
recently,
and threats on everybody around me's life, but that's
why I also think you got to click some of those so you can see where you stand with people, because there's people that you could be walking down, you think you're cool with, and then you look at social media and they talking about they hate you.
Oh, that happened to me the other day. I was at the Grove in L.A. and a kid comes up to me. He's like, yo, man, big fan. Can I get a picture? And so I take a picture with him. And then 5 minutes later, somebody sent me, he posted on social media like,
I hate this
caught
guy.
Vic Mensa hiding at the Grove.
You're like, what?
How do you hide at the Grove?
to all to all the ops like who want to pull up, but honestly,
That's so
like I
cool.
How
said,
do you hide at the Grove?
it's funny, but like I said, man, it's I've been receiving these threats, and I'm from that type of place, so I already move in that way where it's like, I'm looking, I'm aware of my surroundings because that's how I grew up. I had to be, and I know I'm here with a purpose. I don't fear death. I mean, when it's my time, it's gonna be my time, but it ain't yet.
You did a song with one of my favorite words that I use all the time, empathy.
Uh-huh.
Right? Because I always feel like what helps me a lot and helps me forgive people about things is I do have empathy for other people. And you talk about things in your own life and things that you've done and the results that they've had as far as other people's lives. So how important is empathy to you that you had to do a whole song about it?
Well, really, I think empathy is the key. And oftentimes it can be hard to have empathy for others when you really disagree with what they've done or really disagree with them. And then you'll end up in a situation when people feel the same about you, and you need God to have empathy for you. For me, I try to forgive myself, and be accountable to myself and be accountable to the world. So if anybody goes through the receipts of things I've said, I've always been straightforward. I haven't lied about what I've done. I've told the truth about what I've done.
People use that against you, though. They do it to me all the time.
Yes, they do. And they will. But at the end of the day, it starts with accountability. So if I can be accountable for my mistakes and I can present them in a way that lets you know that I realize I was wrong, although I might have not known I was wrong at the time, but I've grown from that. I realize I was wrong. I'm accountable. Then I'm one step closer to being the man I want to be, And I think that as hip hop, it's also important that we hold each other accountable.
Absolutely.
Do you think this era allows you to grow? And what I mean by that is, like, you can be in a whole different mind space, but then they'll bring up something from 5 years ago, 6 years ago that you said when you may have been thinking
On
totally
Twitter.
different. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
I think that the times change, but that if you are honest with yourself and you are intentional, that you can. You're not bound to the era. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like necessarily just a person of this era, because this era will end, I will die, and I believe the words that I've written and spoken will live past this era.
And they will.
But I also do feel like if something affects somebody or hurts somebody, that's going to live with them forever. Some of it is BS. They just pull up stuff just to create a shitstorm. But some of it is, if it affects somebody, you can't tell somebody how to forgive you or how to, their feelings are. If something hurts somebody, it's going to hurt 20 years from now. It's going to hurt right now,
And it's very hard to forgive yourself if you know somebody else could possibly be hurt.
Right.
Based off something that you may have done directly or indirectly.
Yeah, that's real. That's real. But what I've been kind of realizing is that as you try to change your ways, because this is kind of like a space where I could speak about this. So this year I was doing a 12-step program, and it's focused on relationships in my life. The name sounds crazy, but it's really just about relationships. But it's called Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous. And so I was celibate for 7 months, doing intense writing, and I filled up like 4 composition notebooks full of answering all these long questions that I had to go and share with my sponsor in the program afterwards. And, in that process, I was trying to understand why I had done the things that I had done, particularly in the relationships in my life. You know what I'm saying? And just never been solid, always been here, there, lying about it, creating a whole web of deceit. And what I came to realize is that as I wrote out every woman I had ever slept with, which was such a nerve-wracking process.
That's part of the exercise they had you do?
That was part of the exercise.
I did that the first time I took an HIV test, and I stopped because anxiety was killing me once I got to about 15 names.
Right. As I wrote that out, and I'm far past 15 names.
I was younger, Vic.
I wasn't making it. I wasn't making a contest.
I was a
He
young
was like,
man.
damn, that's it, Charlamagne.
I wasn't making it a contest.
Go ahead, Vic.
I had to put my motives for each next to the situation. And as I looked through it, I recognized that the word that kept popping up was validation.
Yes.
The word that kept popping up was self-worth, and guilt and shame. And I realized that I was hurting people that loved me and that I loved, not because I didn't care about them, but because I didn't really care about myself. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like if you can look at your life in an honest way and show growth, then all you could do at that point for a person that you've hurt is apologize from a real place. Because when I was in these relationships, I used to say, I'm sorry. It's my favorite word. Is I'm sorry. But sorry has to be a verb. Sorry needs action
Right.
for somebody to respect it.
The best apology is change behavior.
Change behavior. And at that point, you can't move on living your life really distraught if somebody doesn't accept that apology.
Right.
You could just know that you've done your honest best to be better.
How old are you?
25.
See, man, let me tell you something. I stopped cheating on my wife 2 years ago. Like, I've been with my wife for 20 years. And the reason I stopped cheating is because of everything you just said, because you start realizing the only reason you were sleeping with those women is ego. Like, a lot of times you just out here sleeping with a whole bunch of different chicks to fill up your ego.
Some hole.
That's
Yeah.
it. And you realize that what really makes you feel fulfilled is being a good husband, being a great father. So the fact that you realized that at 25, and it took me until 37.
Way ahead of me and Charlamagne.
My God.
But do you feel like that's something that you have to go through and experience? No one can tell you that before you go through it. Like,
Well, I think that first of all, the things that we are told as men, not just in hip hop, but just as men, the things that we are told set us up to just fall into a blueprint.
Yes.
Especially when we're men with ambition, with ego. We see powerful men in history everywhere, from, I don't know, King Tut to Jay-Z to Jack Nicholson, or,
Right.
Leo, all the powerful men and the successful men. You think of them as just having women falling from their fingertips.
Yep.
It's not presented to you ever that a way to be a powerful man is to be an honest man, is to be true to women.
And we seen that, and I think a lot of that has to do with the music too. What we grew up on
100%.
and what we seen, and we want to emulate that. and we wanna
Music,
be that.
movies. Come
Yeah.
on, man. It was big pimping. You know what I'm saying? It ain't no fun if the homies can't have
Right.
none. Like, all of that.
That's what we're shown, and so that's what we come into the game or into just adulthood and life idolizing and looking for and trying to recreate. So I think that a part of our duty here is that we have to be able to show new ideas and new ways to the young brothers of how you can move. That it's not necessary to be like that, because now that's how we deal with so much of what's going on in hip hop with violence against women. And I won't be too specific, but that these are
We can
learned
be specific
behaviors.
if you want to, though.
No, these are learned behaviors. What I really have to say is that, as I said a second ago, oftentimes my delivery, might be quite harsh, but I really mean it that we have to address violence against women in hip hop. And I think that it's something that has been taught to us. You listen to, like, even House of Pain, they're like, if your girl steps up, I'm slapping the hoe. You know what I'm
Cameron
saying?
said, niggas think to teach a bitch, you got to treat a bitch. Now you stupid motherfucker got to beat a bitch. That's how you reach a bitch. I'm like, think about that.
See, these are the things that are in hip hop. You know what I'm saying? And as imperfect of a messenger as I may be, I've spoken about situations in my life, and if you really listen to what I said that, we were drinking this bottle, and she came out, she hit me in my jaw. I tried to fend her off, ended up with my hands around her neck. I was tripping, dog, too proud to apologize or empathize. I blamed it on her, saying she hit me first, even though she was the one hurt. So I had to go through that situation, and I had to dissect that situation as a young man and recognize that under no circumstances is it all right to put your hand on a woman. Even if she's fighting you, she's punching you, whatever, under no circumstances. And that was me being accountable to myself and being accountable to my actions. So I'm asking that the rest of us are accountable to ourselves as artists, and those in other positions hold the artists accountable. You know what I'm saying? Because we need to show the young generation right now that that Cameron line is not what's up. You know what I'm saying? Hitting women is not what's up. You see a lot of young artists that get on, or, you know, and, you know, the moment for me that really changed my mentality on it, I was watching a video, and I won't say the artist, but I saw him beat his girlfriend down violently into a corner. And then I went down the YouTube comments, and what it said, all the comments were, fuck that bitch, she deserved it. I'm fucking with blank, blank, blank. Yeah, I'm fucking with this, like, fuck her, you know? And I was like, damn, you know, that's what these younger kids are thinking. And that's what they're being trained to normalize.
Same way we were.
Exactly.
So somebody got to break the cycle.
The same way we were. So
Right.
we got to break the chain right here, because that can't keep going. And you see that we're at a moment in time when a reckoning for, you know, for just women being at the bottom of the totem pole is really happening. It hasn't hit hip hop. I don't know if it ever really will, but this is a moment in time when things are changing. You're seeing female representation in Hollywood, in writing rooms, and you got Issa Rae, and you got Lena Waithe, and you have the Me Too movement.
They the leaders in every field.
You know what I'm saying? And you got the Me Too movement, and I'm like hip hop. It's our time too. It's our time to catch up. You know.
But the beauty is you grew and you evolved. Other people don't get those opportunities.
100%.
And we had that conversation
Yeah.
off air. You know what I'm saying? But other people didn't get that opportunity.
Well, we're here today. Last year, we raised over $800,000 for Gathering of Justice. Today, we're doing it for Project 375, which is a mission to raise awareness for mental health and stigma and raise funding for treatment. You can text right now, change to 52182, or you can go to the website, bcchangeforchange.com. Now, I'm not putting this mask on because you're from Chicago, and I just don't want to put the mask on.
The
I
man
want
got
nobody to know
PTSD. Don't put the
PTSD.
mask
No,
on.
definitely
bro.
not. But, you know, we're going to ask you to dig in your pockets a little bit and help us out a little bit.
Okay.
I know you to save money, guy, but
Save money, saving
to
life.
spend a little on a decent cause.
For
Whatever
sure.
you want, though. It don't, you know,
I'll
You don't
donate
even have
some
to
to
say
y'all.
how much, but we will appreciate it.
Little
donation.
Duval
got you.
donated $1.
$1. You know what I'm saying?
Don't throw that
Duval
out
did
there
$1.
anymore.
He did
Everybody,
$1.
listen, everybody
Don't
acting
mess
their
with
wage.
Lil Duval.
But Fashion Over did 25,000. So, you know, we got a big stretch in between.
I did want to ask you about Kanye, though, because being that you've dealt with mental health issues, and it's clear that brother's going through something, even though he denies that he said he was going through something, he denied he was going through something, but clearly he's going through something. So when you know that and you see his actions, what do you think?
Man, you know, I love Ye. Ye is somebody that taught me before I ever knew him. Ye is somebody that taught me a lot about being proud in my history and being proud to be black. You know, when Kanye was talking about how he stopped the Black Panthers, Ronald Reagan cooked up the answer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when I see that guy sitting with, you know, the modern day Ronald Reagan, I know that something's off, you know? I know that some wires are crossed, something's not lining up. And so, you know, I try to look at that situation with empathy, you know what I'm saying? And try to understand what's really going on before attacking.
Gotcha.
And not to mention that's family to me, you know?
We appreciate you for joining us. Thank you for stopping through.
No doubt.
And it's Vic Mensa. We got everything out? You gonna try to get him up for no more money?
Money?
Is there any last words, anything else you wanted to let us know about since you're gracing us with your presence this morning?
What you saying, Church? Is there anything I need to...
Yeah.
Should I say the date? Okay. Yeah. I got a project coming in the next couple weeks, so we'll be dropping like the first single, and it's dropping before the end of the year.
You got it now? You got the single now? We can play it right now, world premiere.
We got.
Look at D looking like a deer in the headlights. D, this is your job. Oh.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
We got a whole
He
situation.
said,
Yeah,
yeah,
they got a whole
but
situation.
okay.
They got a
Don't
rollout.
mess up his
All right,
rollout,
I ain't gonna mess
guys.
up your
He's got
rollout.
things
All
going
right, all
on.
right. It's Vic Mensa. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.